Mixed martial arts is a sport that comes with major stakes, unparalleled tension, and violent consequences. But that doesn't mean that things don't get a little silly from time to time. These are some of the funniest moments in MMA. Who is that guy? Prime Conor McGregor was not only one of the greatest fighters of his time, but also one of the sharpest tongues in the game.
Conor, do you know what wrestling is?
I could rest my balls on your forehead.
And when featherweight contender Jeremy Stephens decided to go toe-to-toe with the Irishman, it was a 10-8 on all scorecards. Conor was asked to name anyone who was on the stage alongside him that might give him a tough fight. Sensing his opportunity, Stephens proudly piped up, telling the world that he was the hardest-hitting 145-pounder in the game.
Right here, the hardest-hitting 145-pound, the real hardest-hitting 145er right here. This guy TKOs people. When I knock people out, they don't fucking move.
For dramatic effect, Conor took his time, pretending to look around, almost surprised that the voice he heard was coming from the stage. When he did finally fire back, he branded Stephens with 6 words that he still hasn't managed to live down.
Who the is that guy? Who the fuck is that?
The ice bucket. Chaos comes in many forms inside the octagon. Sometimes it brings a crazy war of attrition, where 2 fighters decide to throw down with little to no care for their well-being. Other times, something like this happens. Jonis Torres was facing off against Melvin Guillard in his UFC debut back in 2010. And while the bout itself wasn't anything special, in between rounds, Torres' cornerman accidentally caused ice to spill all over the canvas. And to say that Joe Rogan went to town on them would be the understatement of the century. Chaos ensued as the UFC staff desperately tried to brush the ice out of the octagon.
Oh no, this is good. Look at that. They knocked the bucket over. This is the Three Stooges. What are you freaks doing? Everybody's booing. Now there's even more pressure. Oh, now they're sweeping it out. That's good. Put it on the side and watch Ariane fall on her head. Get back in there! You're not done. There's ice all over the floor. What are these guys? They ran out. I'm done. We got it. There's 100 pieces of ice still on the floor, and these guys just scrambled out because of the pressure.
Nick Diaz being Nick Diaz. When it comes to taking on the great Anderson Silva, 99% of fighters would probably choose to leave the taunting to him. Silva has always been known for his tendency to keep things loose and entertaining, even if he does allow very long, drawn-out pauses in the action. Nick Diaz came into the octagon to take on the former middleweight champion at UFC 183, and immediately let it be known just how much Silva's behavior was annoying him. After a 30-second spell of inactivity, Diaz decided to taunt Silva, lying on the ground, leaning on the cage, and even turning his back to him at one point, basically doing everything he could to provoke a reaction. It didn't work, of course, but the moment was comedy gold. You can even hear Joe Rogan banging on his desk as he laughed at Nick's antics. The wrong song. Mike Perry is a bit of a livewire, the kind of guy who always seems to be on the verge of kicking off. His reputation precedes him at this stage, so when some unfortunate member of the UFC staff managed to make a total mess of his entrance to the octagon at UFC 255, there was every reason to think that Mike Perry would lose his mind. The issue? Well, Platinum wanted to walk out to the theme from the popular gaming franchise Halo, a suitably eerie track that would set the tone for the battle that was about to happen. But somehow, the person in charge of hitting play lined up Beyoncé's song Halo instead. Yes, they have the same title, but you could not find 2 more different songs. So, what did Mike Perry do? He started singing along, of course, belting out the chorus at the top of his lungs before going out there and losing by way of decision to Tim Means. The Shorts incident. Derek Lewis might just be the most naturally entertaining guy in the entire UFC. He doesn't even need to try particularly hard to come out with an instantly iconic soundbite. And after his insane come-from-behind KO victory over Alexander Volkov at UFC 229, the bar had been set incredibly high. But the Black Beast still managed to deliver the most famous one-liner of his career during his interview with Joe Rogan. Joe, like any other normal person, immediately asked the heavyweight contender why he had taken his shorts off. Without hesitation, Lewis responded by saying this.
I'm here with the winner, Derek Lewis. Derek, why'd you take your pants off?
My balls was hot.
I understand.
Whaley Zhangs' comeback. Since its inception, trash talking has been an integral part of combat sports, and some fighters, like the now-retired Joanna Jędrzejczyk, never seem to know when to stop. During her UFC 248 face-off with Whaley Zhang, Joanna decided to talk down to her opponent like she usually does, claiming that she was going to outclass her during the fight. Whaley Zhang, who isn't exactly fluent in English and typically never engages in trash talk, decided to play it cool, and simply responded by saying this.
Shut up.
The The laughter from the audience, combined with the massive grin on Whaley's face, really made the line that much more satisfying, especially considering that she would later go on to defeat Joanna on 2 separate occasions. Doing what in the park? Nate Diaz didn't get enough credit for his pre-fight trash talk of Conor McGregor prior to UFC 196, but after he went out there and submitted him in the second round, people began to take note. In a way, Diaz kind of big-brothered Conor at certain moments during the build-up, telling him he was getting all pumped up after knocking out a bunch of midgets, before promising him that the step up to welterweight would be too much for him. In hindsight, he was right on the money, but the biggest blow he landed came when he took aim at Conor's teammates, and specifically his movement coach, Ido Portal.
You're playing touch butt with that dork in the park, the ponytail. I'm the one who ain't got no training partner? I don't think so.
Nate might not be known as the most eloquent or well-spoken fighter in the game, but to tell that to Conor's face and to see Conor go silent afterward, that's some high-level trash talk right there. A star-making moment for this underrated killer on the mic. Joe Rogan gets heckled. Joe Rogan is typically a pretty confident guy, and given his fame, success, and his background in Taekwondo, it's understandable why. But during a UFC Media Day appearance, he was left almost speechless when a random fan asked him if he could wrestle him, with the catch being that if he won, Joe would come to Sweden. When Rogan turned it back on him and asked what he got if he tapped him out, the fan said he'd rather black out than tap out, before calling him the B word and presumably dropping the mic.
What happens if you tap? That's all I want to know. What do I get?
I black out before I tap out.
Joe doesn't get bested often, but on this occasion, it certainly seemed to be the case.
I'm going to let him win that one. I like his moxie.
Kick him where? In a packed UFC crowd, it can be difficult for one fan's voice to be heard. But on this rare occasion, every single person in the arena that night likely heard this now iconic phrase. During a fight night bout in 2014 between Sam Alvey and Dylan Andrews, the two began circling each other, biding their time before engaging. Before long, someone in the crowd decided to shout this line at the top of his lungs, which was met with thunderous laughter from the audience.
He did, and it's looking like Andrews has done his research.
The comment was so out of left field that even the two fighters couldn't help but crack a smile. We never did find out who shouted the now infamous catchphrase, but it's safe to say that its place in the history books has been sealed. The worst self-help book ever. When he's on form, Michael Bisping can talk trash with the best of them, and no moment sums up his wit and the level of venom he brings to the table than when he shut down Luke Rockhold just before UFC 199. During the pre-fight press conference, Rockhold decided to give a bit of a motivational speech, talking about the merits of believing in yourself and how anything in life is possible.
If you think something, the likelihood of it happening is very slim. If you believe in something, if you know something is going to happen, if you're confident in that situation, you will achieve things in life. That's how you overcome things. That's how you put yourself out there. You believe it and you achieve it.
Bisping, who was seemingly unimpressed, basically told Rockhold that he sounded like a terrible self-help book, shutting him down there and then, before he went on to shut his lights out in the octagon.
I know that I'm better than this.
Sounds like
I
the
know
worst
that I'm going to knock
self-help
him
book
out.
you've ever read. Conceive, believe, achieve. Shut the up.
Talk about a boss move from the Count. As always, if you guys enjoyed the video, please be sure to let me know by leaving a like and subscribing to our channel. Apart from that, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.